Tam Talks explores life, spirituality, and general weirdness through quirky storytelling and laughter, lighting you up in your life journey. Let's go! Welcome back. It's Tamiah here, and today I want to talk about Hawaii. I feel like every day I want to talk about Hawaii, but I feel like this podcast is going to serve many things, many people, many different kind of categories. There's the word. So one of my biggest things in life that has been completely joyful for me is traveling. And hey, you know what? Maybe I'll just start with the general traveling. Hawaii is my favorite place on this planet. I love Hawaii. Bali and Costa Rica are up there as well, but Hawaii is like my soul. I don't know what it is, but anyways, I'll just talk about travel and we'll get to Hawaii because it always comes back to flippin' Hawaii. So the first time I left Ontario would be, I think I was 12 with my dad, and like this is after my parents had separated and my dad was, I don't know if they were remarried, but anyways, with this other tart and family friends, a little bitterness showing through there, still burns a bit. Anyways, it's funny because I've been editing my book and I'm so like sick of reading it, but then it's kind of bringing up these things again. So it's very interesting. Anyways, so my first trip was out of the country was when I was 12 with my dad. We went to Florida. And yeah, so whatever. I don't even remember much of it actually at all. I remember the flight because I remember thinking that I was afraid, but then like loving it. And we were taking off and I was just like, yes, like loved it. And I think it was Air Canada and it was a big like jumbo jet and it was fantastic. Anyways, so that was like my first flight and my first bit of traveling that would have been something other than camping in a pop-up trailer in Ontario or staying in like a fun hotel. Anyways, so my next trip after that wasn't until I think I was 17, and I went with a really good friend of mine and her parents. And if you ever want more of like kind of my story, you can read my book and it gives you probably far too much detail. But that's okay. My book's all about my journey with worthiness. So it brings in quite a lot of my experiences. However, we're just talking about travel right now. So anyways, they were going to an all-inclusive resort in the Dominican Republic. I didn't even know what the heck an all-inclusive resort was. And I was like, but my friend, so she didn't have any siblings. And so when we were growing up, we were friends from about the age of 8. And I went camping with them. We were always together. And I think for her, like now looking at it from a parent's point of view, I think it was amazing because they were thinking, oh my gosh, like we just have this kid who doesn't have any siblings. And so then I was like a built-in sister. So I was invited to go with them on this trip. And I was like, heck yeah, I don't know anything about it, but I'm in. And I'm pretty sure I paid my own way and all that. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, did they pay for me? But I'm pretty sure I paid for myself because I worked from like the age of 12, part-time jobs, and I always like saved up money. Anyways, so that trip was monumental for me because I remember taking, you know how you take like the little shuttle buses. So it was back when I think it was SunQuest, which was like the tour operator. So everything, you pay one price. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, all inclusive, you pay one price and it includes your flight, your airport transfers, your food, your alcohol, your accommodations, And then like fun activities at the resort. It's just this built-in way to travel, which strangely enough now is my least favorite way to travel. But at the time, I didn't know any better. And for many years after, I just really enjoyed that way of traveling. And then like you can book excursions. So you would leave the resort and actually go and experience the culture, the people, and all of that stuff, right? Which was then even deeper for me. I was like, ooh. So anyways, I just remember taking the shuttle bus from the airport to our resort. I think it was like maybe half hour, 40 minutes or something. And as we're driving there, like this moment of my life was pivotal because I remember looking out, and up until this point, I had always had a little bit of this materialistic mind where I really wanted to be ridiculously rich, drive fancy cars, have a humongous mansion, like all the things, but for all the wrong reasons. Like I wanted those things strictly because it would make me look cool. So, because obviously there's nothing wrong with those things, but my intention when I was young was not a super cool one. Anyways, so imagine my surprise when I'm looking out this window and I'm looking at these little shacks. Like they looked like plywood boxes on the side of the road. And I was like, what are those things? And then I'm like, oh, there's people walking around. And I'm like, I wonder if there's something going on. Like, is it like what's it called? Like a flea market or something? Anyways, and I look and I'm like, oh, these are their homes. And I was gobsmacked. Like I couldn't even fathom. I was like, what? But the interesting part that I noticed and all this is going through my mind just as I'm looking out the window, of course we make up all sorts of stories, but I'm looking out the window and I'm thinking, look at those kids. The kids are laughing and playing and running around. Look at the parents. There's women sitting together. They're happy. Like they were so happy. And I'm thinking, I wouldn't be happy. Like there's dirt for a floor. Some of them didn't even have a front door. It was just open and the windows were open. I'm like, anyways, it was the biggest culture shock up until that point of my life. I was like, what? Anyway, so as the week progressed, we had so much fun. Like we got to know all of the activities crew and made friends with them. We went out, like I remember sneaking out because her parents had their hotel room and we had connecting doors, but like we were right next door. Anyways, we'd wait for them to go to sleep, then we'd just sneak out. So, oh my gosh, we would go and then we go out with the activities staff. We would come back at like 6 a.m. and it was amazing because we went off site. I tell this story in my book as well. And I think, oh my gosh, I'm shaking my own head thinking I have boys who are 15 and almost 18 now. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I would kill them if they were that dumb. But we were that dumb. But we had the activities crew. It was male, female. It was a whole group of people. And I feel like my radar is pretty good with people. I can vibe people out pretty well. So anyways, we went out dancing and had the best time. Oh my gosh, there's the funniest story okay, so House of Pain, I think is the artist, where the song is Jump Around. And so I remember Kim and I, so if you've been there to the Dominican and all inclusive and the drinking and their shot is like 3 of our shots. Anyways, we were pretty drunk. And we're dancing, we're out on the dance floor and it's like jump up, and get down. And so the point is you jump up twice and then you kind of squat down and then you get ready to keep jumping and dancing. Well, both of us jumped up, and then we got down, but we splattered all over the floor. Like we wiped out. And I'm thinking this is some like, oh God, I don't even want to know what's on the floor. Like, but we died laughing. Like oh my gosh, it was so funny. Anyways, so I had this amazing week. We had our hair braided. We did all of these activities. I won so many prizes because I'm slightly competitive. And anyways, that was like the gateway for me into my wanderlust name. And wanderlust is like people who just love traveling. And so, yeah, that was kind of my foot in. And holy Mackinac, I loved, like, so every year after that, I went somewhere else. The first year, I think I actually went back there with two other friends. I was like, oh my gosh, you have to come and experience this. And we went to the exact same resort. And I still remember it was the Flamenco Beach Resort in Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic. And it would have been about 1993 or 94. No, maybe 94. Anyways, oh my gosh, such a blast. Anyway, so after that, I went, so all of my friends from, not all, but there was, I think, 6 of us or 7. I don't know. We went to Cuba, all inclusive, when we were, oh wait, no, maybe that was next because I was 18. So no, okay, I did Cuba first and then I did the Dominican the following year, I guess when I was 19. So anyways, we went to this like chintzy 3-star flippin' resort in Veradero, Cuba, but we didn't care. It was like a bunch of girls out of high school. We were in high school still, but we were like, let's go. It was so fun. Anyway, so I think that was my next one. And yeah, the resort, oh my gosh, okay, there's a funny story from that one. I'm going to get to my Hawaii story hopefully soon enough. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll save that for another one. Anyways, so my funny story from Cuba was, so we're there. I think we had been at the hotel for maybe, like the resort for maybe 4 days at this point. And we had realized that this one food at the buffet were pig's ears. And so, and I don't know how we figured it out. I don't remember. I don't think one of us ate. I just think we overheard and we just kind of knew they were pig's ears. Maybe one of us did eat them. It wouldn't have been me. But anyways, so we knew what they were. So there was like this group of girls that came in. I think they were, I don't even want to know where they were. They must have been Canadian because they wouldn't have been American in Cuba. Anyways, we watched them eat like tons of these pig's ears and they had no idea what they were. So they're just like mowing down on them. I think that they thought they were bacon or something. And they were like, these are so good. They just had like their plates topped up. We were dying laughing, like cry laughing because they had no clue. Anyways, oh yeah, and then we took the little mopeds. We rented mopeds and nearly died. It was so funny. And we couldn't get, who was I with? Kim? I think the same girl who I went to the Dominican with. I think we were her scooter, because I remember having to hop off my scooter. We were in some like back road and it was probably not the best stop place for our scooters to stop. Anyways, and she couldn't get it started again. Anyways, and then I had to hop off and switch, and oh, it was so funny. But yeah, so Cuba, that was fun. It was like a horrible resort. We ate buns and potatoes for the whole week because the food was disgusting. But we didn't care. Oh, I remember we went for a walk the one day and we found a Pizza Nova. I think it was a Pizza Nova. It was something. And we were so excited. And we were so angry because we had to pay for toilet paper when we used the bathroom. So anyways, that was Cuba. So yeah, back into my travel. So that was like kind of the foundation of travel for me. Then it kind of went back into, I went to Florida to Disney World. Like we didn't stay at Disney, but I went with 2 separate friends on 2 separate occasions, so one friend and I just went alone, which, oh my God, that's another story. Okay. So this girl totally was into some hardcore drugs. And she would never, when I hung out with her, she wouldn't do them in front of me. But I remember being at her apartment and she lived with this guy who was like a total dork. Anyways, I remember looking over at their kitchen sink and above it, and I was like, what is that? I thought it was like this cleaning solution. And she's just like, what do you mean? What is that? And I'm not naive. Like, I did some drugs when I was in high school, not bad ones. Well, one time I did that was laced with bad things, but I didn't know that. Anyways, so, but I was pretty well informed. But anyways, I look and I'm just like, well, what is that? And she was like, it's crack. I'm like, what? What? So, anyways, this girl, she's like, it's not mine. It's whatever the guy's name was, Doug. Um, so anyways, I knew that she did some other drugs, but I didn't think anything like super serious. And I didn't at that time. I was kind of my period with drugs was very short because I remember smoking weed and I just didn't get high. I just got hungry. And I was like, okay, well, this is dumb. Like, I spend money to do this, I smoke it, and then I spend money on lots of food because I'm starving. So I didn't see the point. I'm like, just give me some strawberry daiquiris instead. Anyways, so okay, back to the trip with that girl. So we get to Florida. We had flown together. We were staying with her aunt and uncle. And we get there. And this is like the second day. And I don't know how it came up or what made her say this. And I still wonder to this day if she was serious or not. So it's so funny. And she had like a really quirky sense of humor too. But anyways, so we're at the condo, like her aunt and uncle's condo, and I think we were getting ready to go wherever. And I'm brushing my teeth, and she was like, "Oh, you're using that?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Of course I'm using my toothbrush. Why would I not use my toothbrush? And she's like, "Well, I kind of had to." I can't even say this out loud. She's like, "I kind of had to use that to fish like the baggie out of the toilet." And I'm like, what do you mean the baggie out of the toilet? I feel like people know where I'm going with this. And she's like, well, I had to bring some drugs and I had to put them up my butt so I wouldn't get caught at the airport. And I'm like, when she said that, I was pissed. I was like, what? And I'm like, I hope you're not serious because you put me at risk. Like, what if you got caught and then I was an accomplice and we could be in jail right now? Like, I was so mad. And then she's like, yeah, well, I had to use your toothbrush to fish it out of the toilet because I didn't want to just grab it with my hands. And I'm like, why would you use my toothbrush? And I'm freaking. Anyways, then she just starts dying laughing. She's like, ah. Anyways, I still don't know if she was joking or not. All I know is I threw that toilet or that toothbrush out and got a new one. Anyway, so that was like one of my trips to Florida. Oh, the other one, this is kind of cool. There's another trip I went with a friend and her family. And she ended up, we met these two guys. We did this whole like, this was at, I think, Magic Kingdom. And we noticed these two cute guys and we were like, kept seeing them at different rides. And I was like, hey, just talk to him. So, anyways, we started talking to them. They're from Germany, blah, blah, blah. And then they became like pen pals because remember, this is back before there was like, if you wanted to call someone in Europe, it would be super crazy expensive. So we wrote letters. So anyways, they turned into pen pals. She ended up marrying one of them. I'm pretty sure they're still married to this day. They have kids and all that. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, those were kind of like Florida experiences. And then in there, at some point, so every year I went somewhere. And then when I started dating my ex-husband, we went to the Dominican Republic. We got married there, actually. No, wait. So first we went to Mexico, the Mayan Riviera, and beautiful resort. It was the Copacabana, and that would have been back in, oh God, I don't even know, the early 2000s. Because I don't think it's there. Like a lot of these resorts sell, and then, like they become another brand. It's still the same building, or they do renos, but they aren't the same names. So anyways, we went there. It was beautiful. Like the iguanas. So isn't that funny? It's funny the things that pop like in my mind that I remember. And this is like more than 20, probably like 25 years ago. And I remember the gigantic iguanas. And I remember that we had to walk all the way down, like from the rooms. It was this beautiful, like interlocking, but natural rocks, like stone pathway down to the ocean. And I remember they had crafts because we sat there and we painted this. I wonder if I still have it. I painted this like sun thing. Anyways, it was so nice. And the giant iguanas, like they were like 2 feet long. They were huge. So anyways, I liked, yeah, like that was the Mayan. Did we do any? Yeah, we did excursions. Anyways, so we did that. We got married in the Dominican. We went to Punta Cana for our honeymoon. Yeah, which is still the Dominican, but like a year later. And then so then I think after that, then the next trip would have been Disney World because then we had the kids. So then we went to Disney far too many times. We went, I don't know. But anyways, it was fantastic. I love Disney World. If you haven't been to Disney, I know there's a lot of like anti-Disney people out there, and I don't know why. There's a lot of people who are like crazy Disney fans. I do know why, because Disney is truly magical. And maybe people just write it off because they don't want to go through the hassle. Like a lot of people are like, oh no, there's too many people and it's like too expensive and it's this and it's that. Actually now, like it's 2025 and it is actually expensive now after that whole past 4 years where everybody ended up hiking prices of everything. But back in the day, you could get like free dining plan or Canadian deals where you would get like 25% off and you would get your park passes for, like, say you paid $40 for the first day, then the second day would be like $6, and then the third day would be like $4, and the fourth day would be like $2, and then the fifth. So we would get like 7-day passes, but because it would only be like, I don't know, $60 a person US for that, those, like, it was crazy. And then if you stayed on property, you could go for these extra like magic hours, I think it's called, and just all sorts of perks. So anyways, we went to Disney. I remember Lincoln was still a baby. I think he was like 7 or 8 months when we went for the first. No, he would have been 8 months because I think we went in August. He was born at the end of December. So that was insane. It was super crazy hot. I was still nursing. The other one was still in diapers. Like, and then Sherry is like my sister-in-law was pregnant with her youngest, and then their daughter is in between the ages of mine. Oh my gosh. It was so fun. It was literally magic. And we stayed at the Fort Wilderness cabins and like ordered in groceries so that our groceries were literally unpacked in our cabin. Oh, that was such a trip. And there were like ponies where we stayed so the kids went and did pony rides. And oh my gosh, Gid was in his glory when we did the what is it called? Speedway. Something Speedway in Magic Kingdom in Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland Speedway. There you go. And then we went to, when we were at, is that Hollywood Studios where it is? Oh no, maybe it's Epcot Test Track. And my niece was toilet training. Anyways, there was a puddle on a car at one point. Like and they're teenagers now, so they're probably like, are you telling these stories really? Oh, and I remember Gideon, we were in line for the Tomorrowland Speedway and it was hot and we were like waiting forever and everybody, like, it's him, he wants to go on this ride. So we're all like, yeah, of course, Gid. And I remember he was like, all you heard was this rumble in his butt. And there was like, it was still diapers. I think he was still in diapers. And anyways, it was his dad's turn to go and do the bathroom thing. So I was like, we're like, hurry, like go fast because we're about to get on the ride. And so it was like this huge butt explosion. And we didn't have a change of pants or shorts for him. I think we did, but he had already gone through them or I don't know. Anyway, so we had Carrington, my niece's shorts on. We still have pictures. Oh my God. It was so great. Like, anyways, so yeah, these are all like kind of those early memories of traveling. And yeah, so we went back. There were a couple of other trips kind of in there. We took the boys to Cuba. I think they went back to Disney first, and then the following year, I think we took them to Cuba. And you know, it's funny, we aren't like wealthy. I think a lot of people, when you travel, think that if you travel, you're like this, you make tons of money. I just say to people, you know what? Like, there's just priorities. Travel is literally like my favorite thing on this planet to do. And so I don't wear insanely crazy designer clothes. I do not have to revamp my interior decorating all the time in my house. Like, I am very simplistic. My car is 12 years old. So I've always just, if, yeah, I just, that's where I choose to spend and put my money. I just love it. So anyways, so yeah, the next kind of trip, which is how this whole podcast episode started, was I decided my mom had always wanted to go to Hawaii. So she used to watch Magnum PI back in the 80s. And with Tom Selleck, she had always said that she wanted to go. And I guess my dad had said at one point that he would take her there. Well, he didn't, because he was busy, I don't know, doing other things, and then he died when he was young, like when he was 43. So he didn't get a chance to take her there. So at some point I got into my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, when my mom retires at 65, I'm going to take her to Hawaii. I'm going to surprise her. And so this was like, my boys were quite young and I had stayed at home. I had not gone back to my project management job. And I was like doing network marketing and some stuff just on the side. So I was like putting away money. So I think it was for 4 years that I had decided, and I started putting money aside. So anyways, I planned this whole trip to Maui and the Big Island, because that's where there was a live volcano. And I was like, well, we're not going all the way there, not seeing a live volcano. Anyways, that trip. So it was amazing surprising her. She was like floored. She was just like, what? What? Like, she couldn't even comprehend. There's a video, actually. I have a video somewhere. Anyways, so that trip was completely planned for my mom. And that's when I fell in love with Hawaii. So I'm going to leave that at there, because you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to do a separate episode just about Hawaii, because I flippin' love it so much. But yeah, so since then, oh no, actually, sorry, before then, we went to Costa Rica as well. That goes into like the different category of, there were a few in between. So now back to my personal travel. So I went to Panama, which, oh my God, I went with a friend, and then the guy I was dating at the time, and the guy she was dating at the time. And what a hoot. Oh my gosh. Like, I didn't even know the definition. So the funny thing is, I don't drink now, but I drank then. And that was a week that I went, the boys stayed with my mom and I think their dad, or a combination. I don't know what, I don't remember. It was a while back. It was probably like 9 years ago now. Anyways, it was, I was not having to parent, and it was so great. And it was like, I learned the definition of day drunk, because I feel like the four of us, so my friend was South African, the guy I was dating has like a French background, and then her boyfriend was a Newfie, and then there's me. I'm like a combination of so many things, Newfie being one of them, Irish and Scottish. So anyways, it was just this, oh my God, funny and just hilarious week of ridiculousness. Like, I remember going down, there were water slides, and I remember going down the water slide, and I was going so fast, and I was probably too drunk, and I whacked my head like when I went around this one turn, and I hit it, and I blanked out because when I hit the water, then I came to. Oh my gosh. And then we jumped. I remember the guy I was dating, we went out on this, all four of us went on this like party boat. Oh yeah, that was another thing. The Canadians, aka us, we took over the music. So we were DJing, we were like serving drinks, drinking. Oh my gosh, they ran out of alcohol. It was so funny. So then the guy I was dating, he and I stood up on, like, it was pretty far from the water, and we were doing flips into the water. like somersaults. Oh my gosh. And then I remember later in the trip, like just playing so much beach volleyball. I love that. And I remember the one time, so I was sitting with my friend. I don't know where the guys were. I think they were getting drinks probably. But I remember her and I were just sitting on those lounge chairs. This is one of the funniest things. And remember, we were highly intoxicated. So we're just laying there. And she's like, Tam, I have to pee. And I'm like, oh, okay, we'll go. And she was like, because the joke was we'd just go pee in the ocean or the pool. Yeah, I'm admitting that. Anyways, so she was like, I gotta go. I'm like, okay, well, let's go. And I look over and she's staring at me, smiling. And all I can see is pee trickling from her lounge chair into the sand. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you're peeing right there. She's just staring at me with this smirk. And I'm like, okay, that is a lot. So then we were dying laughing. Oh my gosh. Anyways, that was Panama. Jamaica, you got to read the book for that. I'm going to say the highlight was my friend's wedding and going on the catamaran. Yeah, I'm going to just leave that one alone. And where else? Oh yeah, and then so I feel like I'm missing somewhere. What am I forgetting? Oh, we went back to Disney, stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge when the boys were a little bit older. That was in, I think, 2019, actually. 2019? Yeah. And that was pretty phenomenal. That's a beautiful place to stay. And yeah, and then I went to Bali. That's going to be its own podcast as well. That was last year, so February 2024. And then I finally took the boys to Hawaii in, I think it was March, April, or May. No, I think it was April of 2024, like just a little bit after Bali, which is a funny story, but I blame my friend Andrea. I thank my friend Andrea. Anyways, so travel stories, I'm going to do, like I said, separate episodes because I love, oh my gosh, each of these places. I'm going to do probably like the more recent ones because I honestly don't remember deep, dark details of the other ones too much. Like I'll probably do Bali, Hawaii, Costa Rica. Oh, and then the boys and I went back to Cuba. When was that? 2023, I think. Whenever we could travel again, when we were allowed to leave our own country without the COVID shots. So, yeah. Anyway, so I just love traveling. I recommend traveling to everybody. I always have said that I feel the best education that people can get is by traveling and talking to different people, like talking to people who have a completely different perspective and upbringing and reality. Like it is just phenomenal. And I always think being positive and what you put out there is what you're going to get back. I have always had fabulous travel adventures. I have, knock on wood, never had anything horrible happen. I just have had these beautiful, beautiful experiences. And yeah, I just get out there and travel as much as you can. So yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to have, like I said, some more detailed. Oh, in Guatemala. Sorry. I'm looking at my list of I went to Guatemala on a mission trip. That was in 2015, I think. I think it was the same year that I called off the marriage. And then I had already had that book. That was an amazing, I'll probably do a separate, I don't know, we'll see how my memory serves me. I'll probably do a separate podcast for that one as well. Well, anyways. Okay, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Peace out. Thanks for hanging out and listening to my wild and wacky Tam Talks. Follow Tam Talks to be notified of new episodes. Peace out!